vice versa. Frieza might, if they don't use him in that way, he is going to be the most overhyped and wasted character of this tournament.
I also feel like with the way V-Jump portrayed the Mastered Ultra Instinct form, it's said to be the strongest Goku in all of history. So that was already translated and confirmed by V-Jump that once Goku taps into this power, once he masters this ability, this is the strongest Goku we've ever saw in history. So you can forget about Super Saiyan 4, you can forget about anything else that came before this. He's going to be at his peak once he reaches this level. So in terms of the imperfected variation, so you're saying that at some point Jiren's going to expose his weaknesses and then put him down for the count before he transforms further?
Definitely, because like every time you see Goku in Ultra Instinct, especially every time he fought Jiren, he's always staring at himself. He's like, I don't know how to use this form. He looks like he's pissed and everything, but he just doesn't have any like full usage of it. And
but
I think that's
he
what
is
Jiren's
very
gonna
much
spot.
aware, as he was with Kefla, if you remember, because when he was fighting Kefla, he was very aware as to what he was doing, and that was one of his weaknesses when Whis pointed out that he was able to think rather than just act on his own. But for this, you're going to say that Jiren's going to expose the imperfected variation and get the upper hand. But what about once Goku taps into this mastery and he perfects this power? Do you see this really being one-sided? Because we're going to talk about the pros and the cons to this, because the pros to this is the fact that we're going to get the strongest Goku ever, and we're going to be battling up against possibly the strongest person Goku has ever faced before, and that's taken into account if Jiren's going to be using his full power or not. So I have two parts to this question for you. Number one, do you think that Jiren's going to more or less use his full power against Mastered Ultra's, Instant Goku, or do you think that, perhaps maybe he's still reserving himself until the very end? And the second part to this question is more or less like a subjective kind of answer that I'm looking forward to you, but I mean, how do you feel about the white-haired, the silver-haired Goku making an appearance in the anime? Because many people are kind of conflicted in the fact that some people like the black-haired Goku, some people prefer the silver-haired Goku. What's your take on that, and how strong do you think he's going to be when he does fight a full-power Jiren?
That's a really good question. With Jiren here, I feel as though Jiren can't hold anything back against this form, because one, that's going to downplay himself as well as the new form, and I feel like with all of the hype throughout all of these months, they need to make it max out Jiren and push him, at the very least, make it a stalemate between the two. And if they don't do that, Jiren's going to be underutilized, the new form's going to be underutilized, and maybe even Frieza, and that would be a very big letdown. However, in terms of that, Jiren needs to be able to like build upon his character within these next couple of episodes, because if we're not getting him at his full power or more backstory, he's still going to be viewed, to me at least, as a rushed, shallow character. In terms of the way that this new form looks, I was actually quite contended with the black hair one. I really liked it in the way it stood out against the aura, but after staring at this new white hair all day, or the silver hair, it really grew on me. And the way that I look at it now is that this looks like a form of wisdom. It looks like a form of like an elder type of thing, like similar to like the Grand Priest and stuff like that. It just looks like he's ascended to a much wiser and much more mature form. That's what I'm seeing it as now, but I did like the black form better, and I think I'm starting to grow on the silver one. It depends on how they blend it with the aura when I actually get to see the episode, but I remember all the times everybody was suspecting Super Saiyan White, and now here we are.
Everybody was talking about Super Saiyan White. Everybody has been talking about Super Saiyan 5. Do you remember that back in the day? And, here we are today. I never would have thought we would see such a concept. But then again, if you guys remember, 2 years ago, Akira Toriyama had a plan to reveal this white-haired form for both Goku, Vegeta, whatever the case may be, for, the transformation. He had that in mind before the Goku Black story were to be taking place, but instead, he thought that it would come in direct of what did he say? I think he said something along the lines of, if he were to introduce the white-haired form during that time, it would be in direct conflict with the antagonist at that time, which also happened to have white hair, that being Zamasu. So it's actually very it's come full circle. It's very eerie how 2 years later, the same interview that he conducted talking about adding in Super Saiyan White or having like a white-haired Goku, here we are 2 years later with that same concept. So as we go into episode 129, in your opinion, what do you think is the best and worst case scenario for you as a fan? Because the worst case scenario for me as a fan is to see Goku just fodder Jiren throughout the whole episode. That would be the worst case scenario, because I, honest to God, want to see Jiren put the beats on Goku. I want to see them at least be even. until Goku masters this power and Jiren unleashes his full power, because up until this point, it's very arguable to say that he has used his full power, because I don't think Jiren has. I think that Jiren is still conserving a lot of his power, and I think that, you know, with everything he has to offer, there's more to him than meets the eye. So I think the worst case scenario would be